Welcome to the Blue Cafe. We offer stories of infidelity, betrayal, and redemption. Please like and subscribe. Cheers. Now, on to today's story. My life is a wreck. Reunion update. The go-between from the law firm texted me at 3 p.m. Sunday to let me know she had the kids securely in the car with their belongings and was on her way to the house. I doubt any text message in history has been as dreaded for anyone as that one was for me. What made it all the more tragic was the fact that weeks before, I would have smiled and anxiously awaited the text. Suddenly a reunion I would have been yearning for was something I dreaded. I had no plans to mention divorce, paternity, or any issues with the kids. As much as I tried to prepare myself, I knew I wasn't in the state of mind to bring any of that up. My goal was for things to go as normally as they could, like the other times they stayed with grandparents while Mari and I were on vacation. That's what I wanted. I knew reality was going to be something completely different and I had little control over any of it. Jessica, the intern from the firm, pulled into the driveway. I watched them pull up from the front bay window. I walked outside and down the steps as the car pulled to a stop. I was smiling as I approached the passenger side of Jessica's car. As soon as I saw Carrie in her car seat beaming a huge smile at me, I started crying. Oh, I was still smiling. You couldn't have knocked the damned smile off of me with a 2x4. I just hoped if I maintained a smile, it might convince the kids and myself everything was okay. Wish I had a plan B. As soon as I could get her out of the car seat, Michael was by my side and I grabbed he and Carrie and just hugged them. I told them I missed them. That was really all I could manage to say. I just kept crying. And people can hate me all they want to. God knows I've gotten some hate-filled messages privately and publicly. But it all felt different. It did not feel the same as the day I hugged my children goodbye. I want to say it did, just to get the people who think I'm a loathsome wretch off of my back. Maybe part of the loss I was feeling was over the family unit we all used to know being destroyed. My heart was just flat out broken. Seeing them and knowing she isn't mine just broke my heart all over again. That is what my life has become. Every single damn day it feels like there is a new heartbreak. I learn more of the extremes of Mari's cheating escapades. I discover pain I can't shield the kids from. I am reminded of the past bonds and know they were all founded on lies. I keep backing away from the volcanic epicenter of chaos that started when I caught Mari cheating. But I keep getting blasted with stray boulders of betrayal daily, learning how much I have been deceived. Jessica was a saint helping me get them into the house. I grabbed all of their belongings like a pack mule, and she closed the doors and trunk. As soon as I placed their bags down on the floor, I turned to see Carrie looking up at me. She didn't say anything, she just looked up at me with those eyes like she knew I was the one that needed the hug. I squatted down. She walked into my arms and wrapped her little arms around me as tightly as she knew how. That child broke me. I wanted to be strong. But no kid should hear a parent cry like that. Everyone keeps insisting I do the things that damage them the least. That's great, even logical. But what if everything damages them? What if there is no way to keep the damage from happening? Allowing her to see a source of strength and security destroyed has to be damaging to her. How could it not? If I abandoned her, it would destroy her. Yet by staying in her life, I am damaging her as well. A 6-year-old shouldn't have to console a grown damn man, especially for something that isn't her fault. My soul was seething with rage toward Mari at that moment. But the little girl she lied and told me was mine just showed me love the only way she knew how and kept hugging. The indisputable truth of the matter, the epiphany I had at that moment. She and I are both victims. As the adult I'm supposed to be able to maintain and handle it better. She doesn't even know she's been victimized yet. Just as if she and I were the only survivors of a plane crash. We survived, but it's going to leave scars on our souls. But as the survivors, we need to stick together. We need to be there for each other because we're going through the same damn thing. Yes, very different perspectives. But at that moment I was feeling the loss and yet sparing her much of the pain by taking it upon myself. I have been looking at this as Mari taking my daughter from me. But it is just as true to say Mari took her father from her. The villain in this damn story is Mari. I'm done feeling like I should feel guilt for anything I feel right now. There is no paternity handbook that I'm aware of. Reddit knows how to respond when someone is being cheated on and gives top-notch advice all the way through the divorce. The proper way to react when you find out the daughter you raised was never yours? Get the hell out of here with that shit. Nobody can tell me how the hell should feel or react. The only analogy I can give is children switched at birth. That's a couple facing that together. They were both deceived. They both get to find out the offspring they were told was their flesh and blood was really the sperm and ovum from another couple. Unless you've endured that or the same thing I am right now, you can't grasp how it feels. After about a half an hour I managed to get my shit together. Jessica left after getting a hug from all three of us. I handed her a small envelope with $500 inside and told her it was for gas. I knew she drives an EV and she knew it wasn't for gas. I carried Carrie around in my arms as Michael showed me some of the things he'd helped make with his grandfather. Carrie just kept her arms around my neck making sure I knew she'd helped stain some of the wood. I went into my standard "I don't believe you" game. Michael joined in. That devolved into a tickle session, first for Carrie, then Michael. I cannot convey how wonderful and at the same time heartbreaking it was to hear Carrie's squeals and laughter. Seeing Michael happy and laughing was a joy for my broken soul. Because I knew the future held little to none of what we were at that moment enjoying. They teamed up to wrestle me. I liked seeing them work together even if it was against me. Father or not, by the time she's old enough to date I'll have her able to say no with feeling. I put on some music. Ever since she was a baby, Carrie has loved music. I have danced with her from the first week she was born up until the previous month. I'm sure I look goofy. I don't care. I have fun, and she loves acting as silly as me. I got Uber Eats to bring takeout for dinner. We aren't Asian but sure as hell eat like it. Michael can throw down some lo mein for a 10-year-old. And for whatever reason Carrie loves crab rangoon. I didn't eat much. My appetite has taken care of any weight loss issues I had. I just enjoyed getting to have dinner with them again. They both had school today. So, I got them bathed, PJs and ready for bed. Michael likes to read a book as he is settling down. I gave him a hug, told him I loved him, and I'd see him in the morning. I got Carrie tucked into bed and read her a storybook while pointing out things in the artwork. I had her about ready to nod off and I felt myself welling up with tears. I kissed Carrie on her head and told her I love you for the first time since finding out. Call me the biggest arsehole on the planet. I don't care. But saying it was like allowing myself to admit it. Everything in my life has been a struggle in recent days to figure out what is real and what isn't real. My love for Carrie is real. I love her. I do feel different. Right or wrong I do. But I love her. I went from not wanting to take anything away from her to continuing to want to give. It's a huge difference. But anyway, I was sort of waiting for Carrie to tell me she loves me. I mean I know she does, without her saying it. No, she took the moment to tell me, "Mommy loves you." I knew what she said. I made a point not to snap at her and be as sweet as I could possibly be when I asked her, "Carrie, why did you tell me that?" She said Mommy told her. I very sweetly asked if Mommy just said that or if Mommy told her to tell me that. It seemed my soon-to-be ex-wife had to explain why I hadn't been to visit, wouldn't be coming over, and she wouldn't be coming home with them. She actually told the kids her parents' house was her new home, which I was kind of glad of. But the "I love you" BS, I still had to get to the bottom of. I pried some more, then Michael came into the room. He revealed their mom had told them she wouldn't be coming home because I didn't love her anymore. What the duck was I supposed to say to that? Yep. It's all on me, I just fell out of love with your mom. Blame me. Was not happening. I called our usual sitter. I asked if there was any way she could come over for a few hours to look after the kids. Since they were already in bed and that meant she could study while getting paid, she agreed. I got into the car and made a beeline for my in-laws' house. I didn't bother calling first. When I got there, I knocked on the front door and asked to see Mari. Her mom led me to her childhood room where she was recuperating from her injuries. I turned to her mom and placed my hand on the doorknob before telling her Mari and I needed to chat. She sensed I was a little on the pissed off side. So, she scurried out of blast radius. As soon as the door was closed, I asked just who the duck thought she was trying to pin our split on the fact I could never love her again. She said it was the truth. I told her perhaps, but the reason I could never love her again is the fact she is a lying, deceitful, worthless, promiscuous, lying, poor way to deflect blame on her little role in everything. She then said she's already tried to apologize but I didn't want to hear it. I exploded. I asked her what ducking good a damned apology was going to do. It wasn't going to undo the damage, and it wasn't going to keep the damage from happening. And in spite of all of that, I didn't believe she was truly sorry for what she'd done. I asked her how she could manipulate two innocent children to make me look like the bad guy if she had any guilt. I asked her at what point I became the bad guy that destroyed our marriage. Without missing a beat, she told me when I didn't give her a second chance. Not going to lie, I stopped her and asked how much pain medication she was taking and if she was drinking alcohol with it. That was the only logical way I could see her thinking a worthless lying tramp deserves a second chance, mercy, to be treated with dignity and respect. Nope, she lost all of that by her own actions. Again, I don't even know who my wife is anymore. It's like she's been possessed by the ghost of Caligula or Charlie Sheen. My beautiful virtuous wife was replaced by a soulless hookup harlot, and it's a miracle of God himself my junk hasn't rotted off due to her disgusting actions. I asked her if she felt justified destroying everything in her life for sex. She said it wasn't just for sex. I reminded her she claimed to want no emotional involvement. She said much of it, especially at first, was about validation. She said she liked being chased. She got pissed when I asked how she could ever consider herself chaste. But she can go get bent, actions affect how you are perceived the rest of your days. She can deal with it. Mari and I ended up talking for several hours. When she went through the depression after having Michael, she even told me I had been the best supportive husband she could have asked for. So, I had to ask, why betray me so cruelly? She said despite such a happy event in our life there was a part of her so anxiety-ridden she actually wanted to die. She said she felt love in her heart for me and for Michael. But for some reason she couldn't understand, she felt depressed and dead inside. She stayed out of work for an additional 6 months due to her issues. I got her the best shrinks and doctor's money could buy. She admits as much. And she said even that started making her feel guilty, feeling she was letting me down, I was carrying us. She said she felt overwhelmed even though she knew she wasn't bearing any of the burden. She said she started to doubt if she ever should have become a mother despite always wanting to be a mom. She withdrew from friends in person and via internet, text. She told me every day she loved me and apologized. I told her I had nothing to apologize for, I just wanted her to get better. Maybe she was apologizing for what she was about to do. When Rebecca came to the house unannounced that first day, I was so glad to see her. I knew Becca was ballsy enough to not be pushed away but be kind enough to get Mari to open up. It still took months before anything that could be considered a night on the town occurred. Just getting Mari to go to Starbucks was a victory at the time. There are a ton of guys thinking I'm the biggest schlep on earth letting my wife go to bars or clubs with a single girlfriend. 99% of the time you would be 100% correct. And I should have put a stop to it much sooner. But at that moment in our lives after all the sadness and isolation, getting her out and about seemed to cheer her up even after just the first time. She tried to explain she'd suddenly become a wife and mother in a period of 2 years. She said seeing how thirsty men were for her, even if it was for sex, boosted her ego. She claimed the first incident wouldn't have happened if she hadn't been so drunk, but it happened willingly. Once the knob was sklopped she knew I'd never touch her again if I knew. She knew she'd lose everything because she came into the marriage with nothing. I asked her if she ever thought I'd find out about her cheating, or how I'd react if I did. She said she knew it would destroy me. She claimed she felt horrible about it. I asked the obvious question, why continue to cheat? She claimed as soon as she sobered up after cheating, she felt guilt, shame and regret. I did remember her being really sad for a week after going out the first time. Rebecca came over and the two of them talked for hours alone. From that point for months, I had the old Mari back. She revealed she told Becca that day she felt unworthy of me because of what she did. She knew if I found out we were done I would go after Michael. She claimed she decided to take it to the grave and try to be the best wife she could be in every way to make it up to me. Red flag, yeah, now. Think I'm a fool all you wish. But we had a baby to look after and I had been doing 95% of the caregiving. Overnight I got my wife back. At the time I would have been stark raving mad to think that was a red flag. It was a damned miracle at the time. Within 2 weeks I was back working part-time, then full-time once Mari was fine as his arm. Looking back, the time just before and just after Michael was a year old, those had been some of the happiest of our lives, at least for me. To find out it was all due to her trying to make up for blowing a stranger in his car forever altered those happy memories. I asked why she cheated again, if I just wasn't enough for her. I had always thought we had a great sex life aside from her depressed period. She always acted like she enjoyed sex with me. She claimed the longer she went keeping the secret, the worse she felt about herself. But unlike before after Michael was born, she couldn't let on to me how she felt. She knew I'd want to know why she was sad to comfort her, but she couldn't tell me. She claimed the internal struggle of keeping the secret and living the lie of a facade of happiness. She reminded me when I went to a reunion of my bio mom's family out of state. I took Michael with me to introduce him to her family for the first time. Mari cancelled at the last minute claiming she was ill. I couldn't have stopped her from cheating on me at that moment. That was already done. But I might have kept her from heading down a road that would deceive me for 6 years that something I cherished was never mine. I wasn't blaming myself. Her ass could and should have been on that plane. No, actually she should have already confessed to her infidelity and let me move on with my life. Yet somehow multiple mistakes, complicated with multiple lies, with little concern for consequences, and that's my burden to bear now? That's something you do to an enemy, not someone you claim to have ever loved. She gave me some story about being so depressed that weekend while I was away. She knew she was unworthy, even if I didn't. She was punishing herself, even if I didn't know she deserved it. At least that was the way she rationalized it. She knew if I knew I would view her as a whore and be disgusted with her. I never stopped showing my love, telling her how much I loved her. But she said at some point she realized if I knew the truth, I wouldn't love her. The attention I focused on her didn't matter, it didn't carry the same weight as before. Because she realized she was unworthy of the attention, and I'd realized that too if I knew about her sleazy rendezvous. She said she called Becca for a shoulder to cry on who convinced her to go out for drinks. According to her, she spent the first part of the night crying and asking what she should do. The bartender bought her a few shots to help her cheer up. She didn't have to say Rebecca nudged her towards some flirting. She found herself kissing the guy in the back alley behind the bar and stopped herself. She went back inside feeling even worse than before because she realized she'd cheated yet again. More alcohol. Becca needed someone to help Mari inside. She asked the guy who just had his tongue down my wife's throat. Rebecca left them alone and clothes came off. I asked her if she once thought of Michael, if I ever entered her mind as she betrayed us both. She got pissed and told me she never betrayed her son. I let it be known she betrayed not only me and Michael, but Carrie, our parents, everyone who watched us take our vows and God above. She betrayed the sanctity of our family and marriage. But I stopped and just shook my head telling her despite what she'd done to that point, she should have just let me go. I told her I would have looked out for Michael, she could have whored around the entire state after we divorced. I told her I would have gladly written her name on bathroom stalls for her. But she didn't. She kept lying. She kept cheating. So much of it disgusted me to hear. Like she had an actual strategy after the first few guys. She didn't want them getting attached to her as she wasn't going anywhere unless she had to. She wasn't looking for an emotional connection. She called it fishing. Get a guy's number, break the ice, give a little nibble, pull away, get him to pursue, but on her timetable. When she said she already knew, I thought she was beautiful. Getting second opinions didn't feel like a bad thing at the time. I just looked at her shaking my head. At any rate, the bartender is not Carrie's father. That much we are sure of. He was months too early in the game to have been the sperm donor, and she claims they only hooked up that one time. I asked if she could remember the names of the specific guys she was talking to and getting to pursue her. Maybe a couple of first names, but I wouldn't know where to find them, was enough to shut that conversation down for the night. Yeah, I wanted more answers. But the details of the BS aren't coming out in one night. And that wasn't what I came there for. She was seated in a chair to be able to prop up her cast-on pillows. So, I got down inches from her face. I told her she was a pitiful excuse for a human, and I truly believe she has no soul. I told her that her actions have caused unimaginable pain and will continue to do so in the future. But I looked her squarely in the eyes and let her know I was not going to let her hurt my children anymore. I told her point blank that I was the one who got deceived for 6 years. If anyone was going to be getting a little slack for focusing on his needs, it was going to be me. But Mari, I told her, and I meant every word, petty bullshit and manipulation is just going to make me loathe her even more. We weren't getting back together, ever. I was disgusted for her to even touch me. Loyalty wasn't even in her vocabulary. But father or not, I was going to be loyal to Carrie. I was going to protect her as much as I could. And if I end up having to protect her from her mother's lies, manipulations, and deceit, so be it. I told her Nadia has friends that would love a new BMW for getting her declared an unfit mother. I went there. It was a threat. And I meant every damn word. I told her if she had things to say, she could say them to my face. Getting Michael or Carrie to relay things their mother said was not happening ever again. Carrie was to know little to nothing about any details of our divorce and for right now paternity. But when the time came to tell her, I would be the one who would break that news. It would be me who got to explain how her mother victimized us both, but we survived together. There was no way in hell I was allowing the person who destroyed so much for us both to downplay it or blame me. That horrible news wasn't coming anytime soon for her as far as I planned, until the need arises. And I'll decide when that is. I pointed out she doesn't have a lawyer and let her know the kids would be staying with me for at least the next 2 weeks. She needed some time to reflect on not only the entirety of her betrayal, but her cruel manipulation that will only hurt Carrie. I'd let her know when she'd earned the right to be a mother again. There wasn't much she could do. I had the kids. She's in 2 castes. Let her live with some loneliness. My God, I've made mistakes in my life. On the drive home I kept wishing somehow, I could have just known how things would turn out. And this is the biggest struggle of my life. I hope it is the biggest struggle I ever face. But so much has been destroyed. The sham marriage I was living needs to be torn down, ground into dust and the soil tilled with salt. But there is no reason to hurt a little girl who at the moment is blissfully unaware of the battle between her mother and her daddy. I want it to stay that way. Those children cannot see us together. When Mari and I are in the same room, the entire aura oozes venom. That's beyond toxic for us. I'm not subjecting the kids to any of it. I will not fight her in front of them. But I swear I will put her in her place and call out the slightest BS. I'm sorry this has been long. I just feel like every decision I make has 1,000 ramifications. The man up, DNA doesn't matter. People need to understand that hurting Carrie is the last thing I want to do. And I have every intention of being not only in her corner, but fighting for her. I don't know how this shit is going to end. But me and that little girl got shafted by the same person. A person that I refused to let damage her the way she damaged me. Not happening. And no motherfucker is coming around my daughter until I allow it. That won't be Mari's decision either. If I check his background and meet him, I'll make that call if the day ever comes. Until that point, my son Michael, my daughter Carrie and I are weathering a storm. I've managed to shield them from what's coming. I will shield them from as much of the shrapnel as I can. But our souls are all going to bleed a time or two before this is all over. This carnage could have been prevented, but once the bomb goes off it can't be avoided. I'm sorry for venting. I intended it as an update only. But this is all too much sometimes. I am in therapy 2 times per week. Not sure it's helping. But it's early on, with the shrink, so I'll give it a few more sessions. I have to get to bed. So, I will post this and let it be. I won't post again for a while. It has helped to verbalize some of what I've been feeling. So, thank you. I just need to focus on my healing and making this transition in life as seamless as I can for the kids. Thanks for all the direction and encouraging words. Many have been a huge help. I promise to return the favor and try to help others here someday. Just not today. TL/DR, I love my daughter, my heart is still broken, but I do love her. My STBXW can rationalize anything. But I let her know face to face she couldn't be manipulating my daughter or the situation. Edit, original links. You can't just go on being with your kids without addressing what their mom told them about the reason she is no longer home. Mari has planted a seed in their minds, and if you don't take care of that seed, then it will grow. Find a family counselor, explain your situation to them, explain that it is your goal to protect the kids from the lies of their mother in a child-appropriate way and that you need help to do so. Regarding Mari, don't ever meet with her alone again. This woman doesn't care about you and is experienced in manipulating a situation to her favor and against you. This is no longer about what she did. From now on, this is a fight for the future, a fight about custody. If you are alone with her, then she can tell everyone else about the things you did, like threatening to kill her, or to beat her up, or. Maybe you even touched her aggressively and asked her all the time if she likes that, since she is such a WHRE. I think you get what I mean. Maybe Mari will not even do it, but Rebecca and her will talk, and maybe it will be Rebecca that tells her to spin the story of when you met alone around. Protect yourself and your kids. That starts with not meeting with that woman alone. And if you think now that she wouldn't do that, especially not with the state she is in, then remember the state she was in when she started cheating on you. Keep in mind, you don't know her. You only knew the idea you had of her, but never the actual person. She is capable of doing things that you can't even imagine. Her cheating and her manipulation of the kids is just the beginning, just a little taste of all the things she is capable of. Always remember, lying to you is as normal for her as breathing. Stay away from her. Or to say it more directly, this woman, Mari, doesn't care about you. She doesn't mind destroying your life if that means that she feels good for a moment. You need to keep that in mind, all the time. Or do you really think that someone could do something like she did over such a period of time to someone they love? People do that to people they don't care about, but not to people they love. Mari is interested in one thing only, herself. If she needs to destroy you to get what she wants, then you better believe that she will do so. You think that she is sorry for what she did? That she regrets anything? Look at what she said when you asked her why she told the kid what she said. She blamed you because you didn't give her the chance to keep on cheating on you. The start of her cheating? She blamed you because you were too good to her, and she blames the depression. Why did she keep on cheating? Because she knew how you would react if you find out, which pushed her to cheat more often because she was so desperate. Everyone is at fault for where she is right now except for herself. She never wanted to make these decisions, she just had no other choice. Stay away from her. Nothing good will ever come out of meeting with her. Cranach. I can't adequately express what your post meant to me. And you are 100% on the money about things in regard to Mari. It was late when I posted this last night. I didn't get a lot of sleep, and I am certainly feeling it today. I appreciate every single comment and word of encouragement from everyone. But I don't have the time to respond to each, as much as I'd love to. So I'm only replying to your comment about this post. A few months down the road or longer, when things have settled, I may give an update and answer any questions that arise. I was a damn idiot to go over there and confront her. I should have been recording the conversation at the very least. I like to think her parents wouldn't take her side if she accused me of abuse that night or anything. But she is their daughter, yes, as far as we know. They are disgusted by what she has done. They are disappointed she has disrupted their grandchildren's lives. But at the end of the day, they raised her, their loyalty is to her. I must keep that in the back of my mind at all times from this point forward in everything I do. And thank you for helping me decide it is time to talk with them and explain about the divorce. And I'm going to need help doing that shit. Within 15 minutes of reading your post, I was on the phone with Nadia to get the numbers of the shrinks she recommended. I didn't even have to call and make an appointment. She got her staff to call and set the appointment up for Thursday after school. It will be tough. They will cry and so will I. Goal 1 is to let them know Mari and I are done. Goal 2 is to let them know nothing they did caused any of it, none of it is their fault. Then my final goal is to let them know this BS isn't my fault either. Right or wrong, I have to promote myself to them and others in the narrative. I cannot let Mari solely determine how this is all perceived by the kids and others. As far as Rebecca goes, well, thank God I haven't laid an eye on her since that horrible morning. I'm sure she's in the background and in contact with Mari. Knowing she probably views her support as having Mari's back and a positive thing anyone would do for a best friend makes my blood boil when I think about it. I'm huge on loyalty. But when you are loyally helping a friend cheat, deceive, and lie, without a care for that friend's victims, that's aiding and abetting, not loyalty. Part of me wonders if Becca has any remorse or guilt for her role in this. I shouldn't care, and at the end of the day I don't. I just can't get past how you help destroy families and sleep at night. I couldn't do it. But then again, I have a conscience and integrity. Everyone is at fault for where she is right now except for herself. She never wanted to make these decisions, she just had no other choice. I swear in all the years I have known Mari, she had never displayed narcissist tendencies until recently. Immediate finger pointing at others, anyone else, to take the focus off of her misdeeds. Yes, she was obviously more manipulative than I ever really knew. Is there such a thing as a temporary narcissist? Can an adult become a narcissist? I'm sure to many I seem naive and gullible. But the person Mari is now, is not anyone I ever knew. The easy option is to declare I never knew her. That makes it much simpler. But in hindsight, she changed after Michael was born. I've looked back at her period of postpartum depression knowing that was where our life took the off-ramp toward the hell it has become. I have asked myself over and over how I could have treated her differently during that time to produce a different outcome. Should I have gone the more tough love route? Should I have tried to force her to deal with the reality of life? I had choices and I obviously made the wrong ones dealing with her. But even today, as the dust is continuing to settle, I'm at a loss of how I could have helped her better. I was there for her and Michael anytime they needed me. Obviously, I could have done things differently, but I swear I don't know what the better options were. As of today, here are my plans going forward. I need to stick with my therapy and make damn sure I am open and honest with my thoughts and feelings. This isn't to walk it off, rub some dirt on its situation. The next thing I plan is to get the kids in therapy together, by themselves and with me. I'm not here to repair the bond between Mari and her kids. Duck her. As soon as I grasped one of my jobs in the future is to make sure Carrie doesn't end up being like her, it gave me focus. I won't be trying to make her hate her mom. But I'm sure as hell not going to sugarcoat truths that arise as things come out into the open. I will get my name off of Carrie's birth certificate. But I decided last night I am seeking primary custody. Mari has a long road to recovery due to her injuries. She'll need tons of physical therapy and possibly more surgeries. While that is going on, she is actually unable to look after them. Her parents were tasked with that responsibility last week. Until the divorce and custody are final, I will have custody, and make no apologies for using it. No lawyer she and her parents can afford can match Nadia and company. If I have to destroy Mari to keep from destroying Carrie, I'm fine with that. As stated, my appetite has sucked for obvious reasons. While I'm a rather large guy, I'm not fat. I attempted to work out at a gym with a co-worker last week. There's just something monotonous about it. But one of the trainers told me about a group he leads every Monday morning once a week. You get your ass out in a field, regardless of weather. You flip tractor tires, you whip ropes, you do sprints, you do crunches. Everything but juggling medicine balls. Sounds like hell. Also sounds like just what I need right now. I can't take anger out on a dumbbell. But flipping that huge tire like I wanted to flip the bed I caught them in seems logical to fight the rage. I promised the trainer I'd do 4 weeks straight each Monday and proceed from there starting next week. I may break within 15 minutes. Or he may need to go buy a new tractor tire because I launched that one toward the sun. Guess we'll find out. But again, thank you so much. I mean, others gave great advice too. And it is nice to know people care about me, but most of all the kids. It makes me feel like I have others in my corner, even if they may be thousands of miles away. I have family and friends for support. But when they have a personal stake in the situation, it's hard for them to be 100% objective. Thanks for taking the time to tell me what I needed to hear and validating what I already knew. The gloves are off, and I've gone into Papa Bear mode. Mama Bear and her friend Goldilocks, yes, Becca is a blonde, maybe worthless lying tramps who have fed half the forest. But I will expose to all what wicked witches they both are. And as they failed to learn long ago, don't poke the bear. This. And what Cranach said. Cranach, you have my respect, sir. What I can do from my side of the planet is to add you to my prayers, and point out to you that I think, FWIW, that you are doing exactly what a man should do. Your actions, as stated, to protect your little son and your little girl are the mark of a strong and morally upright man of integrity. You have my sincere and heartfelt admiration, especially in such very trying circumstances. And let me point out, your little girl is your little girl in every way that is meaningful. You are the core of her innocent little life, and the way you are protecting her is also admirable. I knew in my bones that you do this, as you clearly understood that she's absolutely innocent in this, and is actually your STBXW's most gravely affected victim in some ways. Ignore the ill-favored people, I find their nastiness and vitriol incomprehensible. Well done, man, very well done. In the end, the question about how long this narcissistic side of her is already there doesn't matter now. It would have mattered if she would have come to you early on and tried to work on herself and your marriage instead of destroying it, but now, it no longer matters. Maybe she had this side forever in her and it got stronger after the birth of your first kid. Maybe it was always there just as it is now and she cheated on you all along, which would explain why you never realized that she did what she did, since she was always this way. Has she spent nights at Rebecca's place before your son was born? Maybe it truly just happened after the birth of your first kid, though I doubt that. But that doesn't matter now, the damage is done. It is over. She accepted this outcome a long time ago and never thought about it differently. Cheating on you was more important to her than anything else, which is why she kept on doing it and never planned to stop it. She isn't mad or angry or sad now because you caught her and want to divorce her. She is the way she is now because you took the option away from her to keep on cheating on you. Because you caught her, she is no longer able to do what she wanted to do so much. You took away her drug, the thrill and adrenaline rush that comes with cheating, and you better expect that she will go for your throat because of that if she gets the chance. Because in her mind she will blame you for the situation she's in now. If you wouldn't have caught her, then you too would be enjoying your holiday right now. In her mind, everything that happened from the moment on when you saw her in bed with her lover is your fault. The other big question you have about what you could have done differently is answered by that as well. Nothing. The sad and harsh truth is that no matter what you would have done differently, she would always have done the same, because the cheating was never about you or how you acted around her. It was always about her and her desire to cheat on you. This is something you really need to internalize. She cheated on you because she wanted to cheat on you. No matter what she says or how much she points with her finger at you, she did it because she wanted to. No one forced her to cheat on you, not even Rebecca. Your wife could have easily declined the barkeeper. She could have easily told Rebecca that cheating is wrong and that she won't risk what she has with you for this short thrill. But she didn't, because she wanted to cheat on you. I know that this answer is extremely unsatisfying, because it takes away all the power from you when you understand that no matter what you did, she would have always cheated on you. But that is the harsh truth. As bitter and sad as it is. She did what she did because she wanted to do it. Because she repeatedly made decisions to do so. That is all that there is to it. You could have been the Superman of all husbands who reads every wish from your wife's eyes and fulfills it before she even knew she had this wish, and she would have still done what she did and cheated on you. This was never about you, only about her. I am very sorry that you are in the position you are in now, and hope that you will be able to get back to the fantastic person that you are. I don't think your wife is a narcissist. I think she is an addict that was taken advantage of by a narcissist Becca. I think your STBX became addicted to the validation and the attention she got at a time when she probably felt chubby and ugly. That, coupled with her friend Becca's encouragement, she started towing the line and eventually dove in head first, and it probably felt exciting and intoxicating, and that's how she got hooked. And as everyone knows, addictions have a tendency to warp perception and reality, and the addict will justify and rationalize anything to get their fix. I think this accident was the best thing that could have happened in her life. It forces her to detox and go cold turkey for at least a year, if not longer, based on the severity of her injuries. Hopefully she takes this time to do a lot of self-reflection and go to therapy. Maybe this will also get her see how truly toxic her friend really is. My aunt growing up was a party girl till she got in a really bad car accident and broke her neck. She had to have a halo drilled into her skull, and to this day she can't turn her neck more than 30 degrees. But, she credits that accident to turning her life around, cause it gave her all the time in the world to reflect on what kind of life she is living and make improvements. I hope your ex does what my aunt did and takes the time to reflect on her actions and grow into being a better person. Not sure what level of resources you have available, but getting a Pion retainer for some level of surveillance on Mari and her skank friend might be prudent. Keeping tabs on their circle might help you head off any shenanigans they might try. Don't think they're not trying to think of ways to mess with you now. Good luck, my friend. Good call. That's definitely a good idea. We hope you have enjoyed today's episode. Please comment, like and subscribe. Cheers. Have a wonderful day or night, wherever you are.